You're listening to Mind Over Me, the mental wellness podcast with me, Scott Carter. I am a licensed therapist. Here at Mind Over Me, I offer an unconventional approach to therapy and mental health in general. The therapy system is misguided and broken. So many people are turning to mental health professionals for help, and they're just not finding it. It's my goal to bring some unconventional means, unconventional views, and maybe some unconventional techniques to helping people find mental wellness. Instead of being dependent on a system or a medication or a professional for mental wellness or mental stability, my goal is to always empower and help people by teaching them how to help themselves. This podcast is about self-efficacy, self-determination, and self-empowerment. Every person needs to find a better connection with themselves. Whether you realize it or not, you are the answer to your problems. You just need better information, and I hope to give it to you. So, thank you for being here. Let's dive in. All right, folks. Welcome back to Mind Over Me. This is the next installment. I'm going to provide a little bit of a upfront disclaimer. I cannot sleep right now. It is very early in the morning. And I'm just fully awake and I'm just trying to be productive. So the disclaimer is you'll probably get a lot of raw and unfiltered, very direct, very straightforward, screw it kind of content here on this episode. This topic is very spontaneous. This topic is something that's just on my mind a lot. It's something that I really want to talk about, really want to make content on, but man, it's so complex. Love, relationships, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about love and relationships. We're talking about romance. Why is love dead? Where did love go? People aren't in love anymore. People might disagree with that. People might disagree with me on that. And and you won't change my mind on this. I don't see relationships that I look at and I'm like, wow, they're so great together. Most of the time, I think to myself, like, I'd rather step in front of a bus than be in that relationship. It's more specifically marriage. I think to myself, like, I would rather step in front of a bus than be in that marriage. As a therapist, I cannot and absolutely do not tell people to get divorced, but by God, I have thought it. It's crossed my mind, and I'm sitting there in my mind, like, screaming, like, why on earth would you stay married? Why on earth would you stay in this relationship? Just get a divorce, just rip the Band-Aid off. And I keep it strictly to myself, and I hold myself to a very strict standard. That is not my place. I do my best to be an ethical practitioner. But again, this topic is it's a challenging one. And the only reason I'm even trying to approach it even a little bit right now is because I'm just like, I'm tired, I'm low on sleep, but yet I'm not sleepy. I'm just super emotional. I'm just really emotional. And I'm like, man, fuck it. Let's just try to grab this shit by the horns. See if we can at least get our feet wet and wrangle it in just a little bit. I'm also probably not going to be able to talk much about this topic without outing myself in certain regards. I am not married. I'm not in a relationship. I'm not even divorced. I haven't been in a relationship in quite some time. In fact, I've sort of given up altogether on it at this point in time. I'm going to do my best, by the way, to steer clear of trying to blame women or, point the finger at the opposite sex. I feel like there's way too much of that going around. It's not my desire whatsoever to try and put a focal point of blame anywhere. I think we are all contributing to the problem, all of us. I think it's kind of 50-50 problem. A little bit about me and my previous relationship status. I don't want to get too much into this. It's super personal. It's honestly really, really super personal. When I was young, I started dating this girl. I met her at work. I was working in a grocery store as a freshman in college. She was also a freshman in college. She had moved in with her grandparents who lived nearby. She to go to college, and she was from a different town. She came from a smaller town, about, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours from where I live. And she was cute. She was just so damn cute. And long story, very, very long story short. I asked her out. We went out, and I fell in love with that girl, and we were in love. And at that age, I was young. At that age, I had zero business trying to love somebody because I didn't love myself. I had zero business ending up in a relationship that was that good. For some reason, something in me changed when I was in that relationship. And that relationship ended up being, to me, almost like the ideal version of what a relationship is supposed to look like in most regards. There were a lot of elements to that relationship that just made it incredible, just amazing, just incredible. It obviously didn't work out. Again, it's a long story, very personal one, very personal story, but long story, it didn't work out. And truth be told, I ended up kind of feeling glad that it didn't. I loved her so much. I ended up not dragging her through a ton of my issues. If I had gotten married to her, I'm sure we would have had kids, and I would have ended up dragging her and children through some really bad issues that I was dealing with in my 20s and my 30s. My mental health, honestly, was in shambles. I had no business trying to start a family or be in a family at that age. I just didn't. I look back on my life now, and just from the standpoint of a clinician too, I think to myself, like, I am so glad I did not put a family through the shit that my old man put my family through. I had a hard enough time loving myself without knowing that I had traumatized and fucked up a few kids, a handful of kids, and putting a woman that I loved through absolute hell. And since then, it has been virtually impossible for me to find anything remotely like what I experienced with her. Looking back on the type of relationship I had with her, I was so young, I didn't realize how rare and how special it was at the time, because it really was. I stand by that experience in my life, that it was very rare and that it was very special. And I wear this as a badge of pride, knowing that I know what it's like to be in love, to truly, truly just be in love and experience the deepest, truest, highest quality relationship and loving relationship and love that exists. Because I know how rare that is. I know how few people will actually experience it and encounter it. I talk about all of that for one reason and one reason only, and it's because of that time in my life, and it's because of that relationship that I believe I'm far, far, far more qualified to talk about this topic and to like jump into this deep, complex pool of complexities. This complicated pool of complexities is the only reason that I feel even remotely qualified to talk about this particular topic. It's frankly also why I look at other people's marriages and other people's relationships and I go, oh, I'd rather step in front of a bus. I'd rather step in front of a bus. I don't do couples therapy. I refuse. It's a nightmare. It's a freaking nightmare. I know a lot of people too who have gone to couples therapy and had really, really bad experiences. Too many couples therapists make they commit the cardinal sin of doing couples therapy and taking sides and showing bias. But there's a lot of that shit going around today. And lots of swear words, lots of casual swearing today. 'Tis the season, I guess, right? But that is a cardinal sin of couples therapy is to take sides or to show any sort of bias. But unfortunately, these days there are a lot of therapists who are showing a lot of biases. They're very partial, flagrantly biased. And that shit has now become acceptable in the therapy world. And it has caused our profession to devolve. I mean, I truly believe that therapy can just be an incredible, deep, enriching, rewarding experience. And the past few episodes, I've been covering a lot of the deeper topics when it comes to shadow work and deep inner work and psychoanalytic type of stuff when it comes to therapy. I love that stuff. I think it's deeply, deeply important, deeply, deeply meaningful. I intend to return to some more of those topics. If you enjoy those, if you've listened to those previous episodes, I hope you will stay tuned and tell all your friends. Help me grow my audience. Again, this episode is kind of just coming out of me on the fly. Just is what it is. We're letting it ride, man. So I'm going to cover a couple of major important things, at least to me, in this episode about love and relationships. First of all, what happened to love? Where did it go? Why is it dead? Why we don't experience it anymore? What's happening? What happened to altruism? What happened to unconditional love? What happened to unconditional positive regard? Where did all of that good stuff go? But I'm also going to talk about my stance on the two types of relationship dispositions, I call it. And I'll give you a quick preview. To me, there are two major relationship dispositions. I call them competitive and cooperative. Now, think of things on a spectrum, as most things are, and there's going to be different levels of competitiveness, and there's going to be different levels of cooperativeness. To me, competitiveness is the only thing we have anymore. It's the only thing that you see. It's the only thing people know anymore is to compete with their partner. There's just a lot of competitiveness versus cooperation. Cooperation is, to me, if you ask me, is the only path to experiencing the absolute deepest and best kind of love there is. So I'm going to break that down in more detail in this episode. Let's get to a couple other things first. Some stuff that's been on my mind. One of them, I might get a little fired up. I made a TikTok video about this. I don't get TikTok videos worth a damn. I do not get any views. I used to get lots of views on TikTok, and then it just dried up. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't even know what to do about it or if I should do anything about it. But I made a TikTok video about this. And it has to do with a post that I saw on Reddit. This girl, I call her a girl because I think we don't have very many adults running around here. I think we mostly have children who are masquerading as adults. They're in adult grown bodies, but they still behave like children. That's not intended to be any kind of slander or any kind of insult. I'm just trying to be frank and direct about the state of affairs. I think one of the reasons why our collective mental health and state of being and state of wellness is in a free fall because there's not enough grown-ups, real grown-ups running around. We're just mostly dealing with children. Anyway, so she was saying in a Reddit post that she found her husband's suicide note and stating that, it was a suicide note, but yet he was still alive. He hadn't gone through with it. And she wanted to know what to do. She was afraid to talk to him about it. The whole thing just screamed to me the sad state of affairs that our relationships have deteriorated into. She's asking, what should I do? And I'm sitting home alone screaming at a screen to love the man. He is your husband. You're supposed to love him. Go to him and say, I am so sorry that you're going through this. What do you need? How can I support you? I'm here. Hug him, hold him, glom onto him. Don't let him go. But nope, that's just not what we do anymore. We take to the internet. We take to the internet. I'm just like, I read it and I'm just like, what has happened? How did we get here? God almighty. Oh, the comments section was even worse. The comments. Oh, I just like, oh man, my heart hurts for this man, and many other men out there. Especially, I'm biased towards men. I'll admit it. I'm a dude. I know what men are going through. I know what they're dealing with, and my heart goes out to them. I'm not saying women don't have the struggles. Of course they do. We all do. Life is toil. But why has it become so taboo to display affection for the person you're married to? Why do we fear that people will come after us and judge us harshly if we tell a man that we love him or display affection for him? Because that's the sad reality of the matter. But in the comment section, I had to turn away. It's just like, choose your battles, my friends. This is one of my little pieces of life advice. Choose your battles. But a couple of the things that I came across before I forced myself to close the damn thing. One person was like, "Get him to a doctor ASAP," and I'm like, he doesn't need a doctor. He needs someone to love him. Oh my God. And nothing says, I don't want to deal with you. I'm just going to make you somebody else's problem, like sending them to a cold, sterile, egotistical, stupid doctor. Not a big fan of doctors. Who's just going to give him pills. That's all the doctor's going to do. Okay, sorry folks. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion. There's no medication that makes up for the lack of feeling loved. Yeah, turns out. I know, I'm crazy. I'm done. This is crazy town. Another one of the comments was like, tell him that he still does stuff for you. Say this, like they put it in quotes. You still do stuff for me. I appreciate you because everything that you do for me. And I'm like, yep, there it is. Two things here, two egregious fouls here. Number one is you exist to do things for me, and I only love you when you're doing things for me. Number two is making it about you. The word coming out of your mouth, if you say that, is me, 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 when what you need to say is you, 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 you. Because that's what love is that you're setting yourself aside for this person because you love them, because it feels good, because they return it, because they reciprocate. I'm just going to wrap this quick story up with just one more point. Like, if you can't go to your spouse and just support them, like unconditionally love them, why are you married? Why the fuck did you even I'm like, sorry. Sorry. Like, it fires me up. It just does. Like, why in the hell do you stay with this person? Why in the hell did you say yes? Like, you can't even go to them and say, I'm sorry you're hurting. All right. Anyways, let's get to the shadow work portion of this episode. If you're new here, one of my big things as a therapist is based in Jungian psychology and shadow work. If you're not familiar with Jungian psychology, it has to do with Carl Gustav Jung, who to me was a genius. He was one of the founding fathers of modern psychology. And if you ask me, good quality psychodynamic therapy, Jungian therapy, shadow work, and a lot of other therapies in that category, when done correctly, truly, truly help with some of the deepest seated issues, stubborn issues, and help people change. So what I've been doing each episode are shadow work journal prompts for the people who want to do shadow work. It can really, really, really super duper help with getting to know yourself better, building your awareness and your insight. And the more that you do that, the more you're going to notice some changes. So each episode, I'm providing shadow work journal prompts. Brain's not working. Too early in the morning. Need more sleep. My shadow work prompts are not for wimps. I'm high accountability. So before I get into my shadow work journal prompts, let me provide a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm a therapist. I'm not your therapist. Use your own discretion when doing shadow work because it can stir up some difficult emotions. Yeah. So if you need some additional help with this, I would say find a good therapist. Emphasis on the word good because there's a lot of lousy ones out there. All right, without further ado, here are your shadow work journal prompts. Number one, okay, so this has to do with personal repetitive cycles. Okay, so we want to gain some insight on repetitive cycles. So question number one is, what is a mistake or problem that keeps reoccurring in my life? Specifically, maybe a problem. Like, is there a specific problem that just happens over and over and over again in your life? For example, maybe your financial situation improves and then it all just completely shatters. Like a house of cards just comes crumbling down. Maybe it has to do with relationship patterns, which we're talking about in more detail in this episode. Maybe you continually find yourself in really chaotic, destructive relationship cycles or relationships, and you just keep having this problem or this issue over and over and over again. Okay, so this one's going to be a bit different. What we want to do is map the cycle out. At the beginning, it's a resolve or decision to do something different or to start over somehow, and that's when the cycle begins. I call that a commitment, recommitment stage phase of the cycle. It's like, okay, from now on, I'm going to dedicate myself to this thing and I'm going to do better. It's going to change. When you get around like kind of 3/4 around the wheel here, the cycle, what we have is the problem or the collapse or the breakdown. Okay, write that down, whatever that looks like for you. The hard part is filling in the in-betweens. Okay, usually there is self-deception laced into there. We all do this. We all just kind of start buckling into lies that we tell ourselves. This is usually what causes the breakdown and the same problem to reoccur. So what you're going to want to do then is to make a list of lies that you tell yourself or self-deception that you engage in. All right, okay, there you have it. There's kind of more to the cycle thing. It's kind of hard to do it without any real visuals. Same with this next part, this next segment that has to do with competitive versus cooperative relationship situations. Kind of hard to do it without visuals. We're going to do our best, but there's your shadow work journal prompts. For extra credit, share it with somebody that you trust. Okay, so let's talk about what happened to relationships. Where did they go? What's going on? Why aren't people in love anymore? When it comes to attributing some sort of finger pointing or blame to why everything in a mental health level, whether it's your life, your personal life, your mental health, your personal health, your relationships, your friendships, anything and everything. I point the finger pretty universally these days at technology and social media. Specifically, I believe that social media has a tendency to warp people's perceptions about other people. And those warped perceptions are taken as truth. Now, your mind will lie to you. Your thoughts will lie to you. You don't see reality perfectly. Speaking of self-deception, right? There's a self-deception habit that we ought to talk about is that our warped thinking we will take as absolute fact without question. You should always, always, always question yourself, your perceptions. Always look for the other side of the story because there is always another side of the story. I see relationship attitudes on social media like, he didn't put his socks in the bin or in the hamper. He is disrespecting you, right? Stuff like that. Like, there's sort of a persecutory spin on something like that, where it's like this person is going out of their way to disrespect you. A lot of people are approaching relationships as though they're looking for some sort of ill will. They're looking for some sort of, fouls against them personally on behalf of their partner. Instead of just chalking things up to being human, just being horribly imperfect, horribly flawed. We all come from traumatic backgrounds, almost all of us, most of us. And just that, it's just not on our minds. That we're spread too thin. Giving the benefit of the doubt to each other, like, that's kind of gone, right? You just see these attitudes in relationships. And I know that guys are not, right? I know their hands aren't clean. I know their noses aren't clean. I know that they're committing major fouls, but I am biased in this regard. So I tend to point out things that I see women doing. I know that guys aren't perfect. Don't come at me. I know guys are doing a lot of shit too. I've noticed there are some women online on social media who make it a goal to openly denigrate and dog on their husbands. It's like a contest. It's been glamorized. It's looked at as funny and cute when it shouldn't be. It's nasty. It's ugly, and it's evil and cruel. It's insane that this has become a norm to marry somebody and then to degrade them on social media. Because frankly, there's always going to be people out there that no matter how horrible you are, they're going to celebrate you. They're going to be like, yes, queen, or whatever. Again, I'm very biased in this regard. I'm picking on the ladies. And frankly, we guys have been picked on quite a bit. And so ladies, you can take some of the criticism too. There are two sides to this problem. And what I can't help but notice, right, is that when you hear people's stories, it's like they're 100% of the problem and I'm 0% of the problem, which in of itself is a problem. It's a huge problem. I personally believe that social media, specifically social media, but technology, and social media is the worst of the technology, has stunted our emotional maturation, has created giant crops of emotionally unintelligent, emotionally immature human beings. I seriously cannot help but to wonder if social media is having a direct impact on proper development of the brain. I really do. Case in point, more and more people are making content, I've noticed, about the Gen Z stare and the way that they communicate with people. And it's so unusual. And I don't want to demonize it because we have a real problem here. It needs to be talked about. Gen Zers, man, they don't know how to talk to people. And I mean, some of them do, but some of them don't. They're horribly insecure. They've been staring at a screen their whole life. I believe that's the problem. I really, really do. I don't think enough people are recognizing this as the problem that it is. Successful relationships require high amounts of empathy. And I can talk a little bit more about what that is, just to get into more specifics. But when you have empathy for your partner, you really feel them, you know them, you understand them. There's a bridge between you. There's a connection. And I really believe that social media has just destroyed people's ability to build those human connections and to build those empathetic bridges. And I see a lot of people using the L word, love, using the word love, talking about love, saying love. I don't think they know what love is. I tell full-grown adults, I don't think you know how to relationship. I think you know how to relationship, but I don't think you actually know how to relationship. Collectively, like the majority of our relationships have just deteriorated. They've just absolutely gone down the toilet. And the way that I see it, there's basically two relationship dispositions. I call them competitive and cooperative. Now, here in the mental health industry, the industry standard for couples counseling, marriage therapy, and relationships comes from the Gottman Institute, which was developed by John and Julie Gottman. They're considered to be like the top of the top, the best of the best when it comes to marriage, relationships, all of that. They developed an elaborate set of tests and metrics and measurements, assessments, that they say when they use them, they can determine within a very, very, very high accuracy. It's like north of 85%, whether or not that couple is going to be successful or not. I don't know what their definition of a successful couple is. I know what my definition of a successful couple is. And that is like, are they in love? Do they support each other? Because a lot of people manage to stay together even though they hate each other's guts. That's a thing. That's definitely not my definition of a successful relationship. Not even close. Anyways, John and Julie Gottman, they have all of this fancy, elaborate stuff. And I could be wrong. I don't think I am. But I believe that I can determine with a very high accuracy whether or not a couple is going to be successful based on whether or not they demonstrate this one of two relationship dispositions. I call them competitive and cooperative. To me, it's a simple determination of, is that couple working against each other, competitive? Do they compete? Or is the relationship cooperative? Do they cooperate with each other? Do they work together? Do they have kind of a team situation going on? Do they have each other's backs? And so, again, I could be wrong. I don't believe that I am. But I believe that when people have a competitive relationship disposition, that relationship is going to fail. Can it be recovered? Can it be corrected? Maybe. But usually in a competitive situation, people are more focused on self-preservation primarily. They're both coming to the relationship in a selfish manner. And so getting selfish people to become unselfish, especially in a relationship situation, I believe is extremely, extremely difficult. So I have a list here of the traits, individual traits or collective traits within the competitive relationship disposition. It's quite extensive. Let's dive in, okay? First of all, the individuals are bringing selfishness to the relationship. It's me, 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 me. Okay, what are you going to do for me? What can I get out of this? What are you supposed to do for me? So they usually hold on to some unrealistic expectations. They expect to take. It's a take, 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 take instead of a give, give, give. Okay. So in a competitive relationship, it's what about me? What are you doing for me? Well, why did you think about me when you did that? And it's very, very egocentric. Okay. The competitive disposition is very, very egocentric. It's interpreting the other person's actions to be directed at them, right? No matter, like, you open the fridge and you go, oh, I think we're low on milk. And they're like, I can't believe you would say that about me, right? Again, there's that distortion that the other person is antagonistic, that they're antagonizing you, that they're the villain. So along with that perspective that they're antagonizing you, that they're a villain in the story of some kind, that you feel defensive. There's a defensiveness or a protection. I have to protect myself from my partner. There's usually also a lot of jealousy, a lack of trust. There's a sense of self-preservation in competitive styles. And so what you often find are partners who might have secret accounts with Tinder because they're looking for the next option, just in case, right? They're just trying to keep their options open. So when this relationship fails, I'll be able to abandon you and quickly run to my next option type of attitude, right? So they're 1 foot out of the door. So there's there's a lack of trust. There's also a lack of vulnerability. Now, vulnerability plays a big, big, big role in the cooperative style. We'll get to that. If you're unable or unwilling to be vulnerable with your partner, you're not going to create a cooperative relationship, okay? Now, and I'll get to this, but the cooperative disposition, that's when you're actually in love. You cannot be in love in the competitive style because all of this stuff, all it does is drive mistrust and resentment. I also wanted to mention with the selfishness that people bring to the relationship is usually due to a lack of emotional maturity. When you become emotionally mature and you emotionally grow up, you realize you're not the only person. And it's not everything is about you, because we live in a very egocentric society. Social media is very egocentric. It's very me, 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 me. What about me? And so to me, that is the result of just being very emotionally immature. When you emotionally mature, you realize that you're not the only person, or you're not the only person on the planet. Going back to the lack of trust in the relationship, okay, that usually also leads to secrecy. Okay, people have secrets; they hide things from each other. There's a lack of honesty. They're dishonest with each other. because they're trying to one up each other, because they're competing against each other. They're trying to beat the other person out or get ahead of that person somehow. They see them as a competition. And so they have secrets. They keep their secrets. These couples often get entrenched in intense power struggles. They're going back and forth. They're trying to one-up each other. They're trying to gain power and control in their relationship, or trying to be on top of the pyramid, be on top of the hierarchy, be the one in charge, have control. Again, emotional immaturity, just stuff based in emotional immaturity there. As a side note, you can't control somebody or try to control them without harming them. Control is always abuse in my world. But there's a lot of games, a lot of gaminess, a lot of mind reading, a lot of, frankly, and I see this from women. Like, I saw this video the other day. This lady was like, and she looked young, again, emotional immaturity, where she's like, if I tell you to leave me alone and you leave me alone, you're dead to me. And it's like, okay, enough with the mind reading. As a therapist, I've had full grown women. Sorry, ladies, again, I'm just going to pick on you. You can deal with it. Not sorry. Full grown married women. He's supposed to, telling me, he, meaning her husband, is supposed to read my mind. So back to the unrealistic expectations there. And egocentricism. Well, there's more egocentricism there, and emotional immaturity there. But again, there's going to be a lot of emotional games. There's just going to be a lot of gaminess and hidden meanings, hidden purposes. What we might call shit testing, where it's like you set your partner up for failure, that you ask them a question or put them in a position, no matter what they say or what they do, they're going to fail it. So we call that a shit test. I actually have a method because I successfully won the shit test several times. I'll tell that story when I get to cooperative, because I believe that the way that I responded was how you win, not only how you win the shit test, but how you enable a cooperative disposition. But let me finish these here. The last one, with painting this picture, because, when I wrote all this out, it's like, it's ugly, but I see all of this stuff in people's relationships. And it's the rule these days rather than the exception, which is really unfortunate. But the last one I have on my list here is the total lack of empathy. And it's not just a lack of empathy necessarily. It's more so that there's a hostility even, right? We might say there's apathy, where you just don't care. You're indifferent towards the person, but it's not even that. Like, that would be better than some of the other stuff that I see, which is like a hostility or even a cruelty to that person. Like I said, it just boggles my mind that there are these women who get married and then degrade their husbands on social media for some sort of clout. So with all of these traits combined, it would be no mystery that we would see relationships unsuccessful or failing entirely, and leading often to really ugly and nasty divorces, and often really ugly and nasty custody battles. Okay, let's get into cooperative. So cooperative, again, cooperative is going to be in love. You're going to be in love. You know what? I missed one on competitive. The lack of intimacy, emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, sexual intimacy. Those things are used as means to gain. Yeah, we're back to competitive real quick. Intimacy is often used as a way to control or leverage your partner, to control or get them to do certain things or get them to perform in certain ways. It's deliberately withheld to punish the other person because they didn't do exactly what you wanted them to do. All of this stuff just generates resentment, and resentment is like deep down, slow burning hatred. All right, now let's dive into cooperative. Again, when you're in a cooperative disposition, this is when you find yourself really being in love. Now, it's just really the opposite, the antithesis or the antithesis of competitive. It's just the opposite. Instead of selfishness, there's selflessness. Instead of thinking, what can I get out of this? You're thinking, what can I put into this? because you love that person, because you care about them, because you want to see them succeed, you invest in them. You make personal sacrifices because when they're doing well, you're doing well. When you see them happy, you're happy. That's called being cooperative. People who are in a cooperative disposition have a high level of reciprocity. Both of them give a lot, and so they receive a lot. And this is what makes them really super duper close, because they're constantly giving and therefore constantly receiving. They understand that if I want to receive a lot, then I need to give a lot. And so they do. But at the same time, the cooperative is ultimately supposed to achieve this thing called altruism. That's like kind of next level shit right there, is altruism. Doing the right thing by your partner just because it's the right thing, just because you love them, and for no other reason, without thought of what am I going to get out of this? That's altruism. Rather than jealous, we have loyal. Okay, the competitive types, they're absolutely devoid of loyalty. Loyalty is a virtue that we are just lacking these days. It's just sort of disappeared. It's vanished. So cooperative couples have intense loyalty to each other. You will never find them flirting with other people. You will never find them betraying their partner behind their back. You will find them fiercely defending their partner behind their back. I'm reminded of a lady on TikTok that I follow that I think is excellent, and she's intensely loyal to her husband, intensely loyal. And she has gone to bat for her husband against some of his family members who have not been good for him. Instead of untrusting, obviously we have trusting. There's high levels of trust. Trust is built. Trust requires vulnerability to build trust. Okay, there's no power struggles. They're not trying to control each other. There's a lack of control. The opposite is true. Instead of control, there's freedom. Okay, they grant each other the freedom of sovereignty. Make your own decisions. I support you in making your own decisions. I let you be free. I let you make your own decisions. I let you do what you want. I'm not here to control you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you want to go ride your motorcycle, go ride your motorcycle. You want to go shoe shopping with the girls, go shoe shopping with the girls. Right? They support each other in their freedom. Cooperative styles, there's a high sense of people just feel free in their relationship, which leads to a high level of comfort. Instead of secrecy and games in the cooperative style, what we have is transparency. We're open and honest with each other. We don't hide things from each other. Okay, right? Instead of defensive and protective, we just have trust. But also, we're protective of our partner. Right? Instead of I have to protect myself from you, I am going to protect my partner. Whatever that means, whatever that takes, I am protective of them. Instead of being emotionally immature and just being an emotionally immature person, obviously in cooperative, we're seeking to be very emotionally mature. That is going to require and include high levels of personal honesty. It's going to require high levels of personal accountability, personal responsibility, and personal ownership. These emotionally mature people recognize that they are the ones who are solely responsible for the experience that they have in the relationship. Rather than saying, you're not doing enough in this relationship, they say, I'm not doing enough in this relationship. If I want this relationship to give more, then I need to give more first. So there's a high level of responsibility. If I want better communication, then I better bring communication. That's actually another point that I didn't have on my competitive list. It's the lack of communication. They don't communicate. Good couples, good successful couples have good communication. They talk well. They work things out. There's a high level of trust. There's a high level of understanding and empathy and a high level of listening, right? And competitive styles just don't have that. So going back to the cooperative couples have high levels of empathy. They've created a bond. There's a bond between them because they've built trust, loyalty, kindness, honesty. There's a high level of empathy. They're not trying to hurt each other's feelings like competitive couples do. So there's a lack of hostility. There's a lack of cruelty. And I'm going to wrap this up. Let's wrap this episode up. But one of the last things that I'm going to... There's more to this. There's going to be more to this, but I think I'm painting the picture effectively. Cooperative couples have a high level of intimacy. They allow themselves to be highly vulnerable with each other. And yes, that sometimes hurts. When you are emotionally mature, you understand that life is going to hurt no matter what you do. That relationships are going to come with certain levels of hurt and pain no matter what you do. That's just how it goes in life. That is a human experience. The emotionally immature people think that that can be avoided somehow. They don't have realistic expectations about life and other people. Cooperative couples have a high level of intimacy. They have emotional intimacy. There's an emotional closeness there. They're connected. They're bonded. Okay. They have high levels of physical intimacy. Okay. There's just comfort and touch. They cuddle. They massage. They pop each other's zits. Sorry, that's a personal experience there. And also, of course, there is sexual intimacy. People who are really in love and really in a cooperative disposition, it's not just that, like competitive people, like they'll be intimate out of a sense of duty or obligation, or like they dread it or they resent it, or fine. People who are in a cooperative situation, who are really in love, they can't keep their hands off each other. They love each other. So therefore they love being intimate. It feels good. It doesn't just feel good. It feels incredible. Competitive people have hate-filled resentment sex, or hateful and resentment-filled sex. Struggling here. Almost done. While cooperative couples, in love couples, they make love. Competitive couples do not make love, because there's not love between them, because it has been fizzled out and extinguished. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I hope you found this helpful and informative. Don't forget to tell your friends, share this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thanks for being here. Thanks for letting me talk about this. This is an important topic to me, but again, very, very big and challenging one. So make sure that you go check out my website for additional articles, mental health help, and other things if you'd like. Follow me on X. I'll put that information below. Let's wrap this up. What is my sign off today? Deal with your demons. You must do hard things. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. That will probably be a whole other love-related episode of vulnerability and vulnerability in general. Okay, so signing off. You must do hard things.